Okay, so David hears this parable and he allows Absalom to come back. Absalom comes back to the palace, but David doesn't see him. He won't allow Absalom to see David. Okay, he says, "You can't see my face. You can come back to the palace, but we're not going to be talking to each other," basically. And this goes on for like years. Okay, Absalom is living in the palace, but David is basically ignoring him. All right. And there's several reasons for this. Okay, obviously maybe David hadn't really forgiven him yet, but but also too, Absalom probably wasn't really sorry he killed his brother. Right? It's kind of like both sides were like a little bit like wrong, but still it wasn't good that they weren't talking to each other because they weren't resolving anything. Right? So it even says like Absalom. He asks Joab to can you go get my dad? Can you go get King David, the king, and bring me to him? And Joab doesn't, and then he asks again, and he doesn't. And then Absalom actually burns Joab's field to get his attention. And then Joab goes and brings him to David, okay? And they kind of make up. Okay, I wanted to bring up something now, okay? So at this point, it talks about how good-looking Absalom is. Okay, he's obviously really smart. He's really highly intelligent, and the Bible talks about how good-looking he is. No joke. Says that there was not a blemish from his head to his feet. He had like luscious hair. Like it goes on and on in the Bible about, not on and on, but it talks about how beautiful he was. And so, and he knows that. He knew that, right? And so basically he starts developing a plan to take over David, right? They fake make up. I don't know. Obviously they didn't really make up because Absalom still was trying to kill him in a minute, right? So what happens is Absalom becomes like a huge all the people love him. He's like, if you read the Bible, he talks about how beautiful he is, and then like he's going around kissing people, and like he's just like a celebrity or something. He's like some kind of Jewish beefcake, right? He's going out around kissing babies and stuff, like, like a politician or something. They just love him. And he's like, and like people are when people get in trouble and they're going to David, he'll stop them at the gate and like he'll be like, "Oh, I think you're gonna be cool. Don't worry about it." He's trying to just let people go over their transgressions and stuff. He's being very lenient with them. He was, no punishment for anybody. Everyone can do what they want. He was very good looking, very smart. Obviously, Absalom becomes a metaphor for Satan, you guys. Okay, and what happens? But it really did happen too, right? Okay. So Absalom starts winning the hearts of the people. All the Israelites love Absalom. He's walking around with his no shirt on, riding on horses, you know what I mean? He's throwing sheep shearing parties, you know what I mean? Sheep shearing ragers. He's a good time, right? And so, and then everyone wants Absalom to be the king. They love Absalom now, okay? He never gets crowned king, but they just love him. And basically what happened was David's friends, his real friends, go to David and they're like, "Dude, Absalom, like everyone's on Absalom's side. They want Absalom to be king. He's won the hearts of the people just with his good looks and kissing people and like letting people go of their crimes and just like, and they have Absalom calendars on their walls, and you know what I mean? They're just like, they love him. He's so good looking and so nice, right? It's such a metaphor for Satan. And so what happens is Absalom, he wins the heart of the people, and guess what happens again? David has to flee, okay? David, his real friends, his real followers go with him. Most of them were from the tribe of Judah, all right? Most of them were from the tribe of Judah. But there's a mixed bag of other people, other Israelites too. But most of the Israelites stay with Absalom. Okay, and so he's running again. David is running away from someone who's trying to kill him. All right, I wanted to do a quick metaphor for that. Why does David keep getting chased by all these dudes that are trying to kill him? Right? It's a throwback to the Israelites when the Pharaoh was chasing the Israelites into the wilderness. It's all the same thing. It's a metaphor. It really did happen, okay? But it's also a metaphor of how how evil is always just gonna be coming after you, especially if you're good, okay? Especially if you're good. If you're trying to do the right thing, you're gonna be chased into the wilderness. Okay, you're gonna be chased. Satan's always gonna be coming after you. It doesn't matter even if you're saved and stuff like that. He wants you even more. Okay, Satan has bigger plans for you if you're saved. He is trying to really tear you down. Okay, that's why David keeps getting chased into the wilderness. He keeps having to get chased into these caves. He has to keep running away from all these people trying to kill him. So anyway, and another metaphor is David still loves Absalom. David still loved Saul. He loved the other king that was king for a while, right? Saul's other son. He didn't want to kill any of them. This is a Jesus teaching about loving your enemy, right? This is why David is so much in the Bible. They're almost 1/10 of the whole Bible is dedicated to David and his stories and his Psalms, right? The only other person that's more in the Bible is Jesus. It's Jesus and then David. God loves David. He goes on and on about how good he was and how naturally he just wanted to do good. He obviously wasn't perfect, okay? Jesus was the perfect David. But he was loving his enemies. He was really, really trying to be a good person and to follow God. It didn't always work, but he really was a good guy, right? So Absalom's chasing him, and there's a big, there's all these wars now with Absalom's Israelites and David's Israelites. And I wanted to bring up this story real fast too. So there's this big breakaway again. The house is split between two groups. All right, and I want to talk about I can't say these names, you guys. Epiphythel. He was David's old counselor and his friend, right? And he stayed with Absalom. Okay, and when he went to go take over David, help Absalom take over David, and he knew that David knew now that he was a traitor, right? This Epiphythel. He knew that he was busted. Okay, so guess what he did? And this is really creepy, right? It said this is what people do when they commit suicide. He went to his house, he got everything in order, and he killed himself. He hung himself. Okay, this should be an obvious reminder of who. Judas Iscariot, right? Judas was a friend of Jesus, and he betrayed him, and he hung himself. So this happened before, okay? This happened before Judas Iscariot. But it's the same story, okay? But it's creepy how it says that he got his house in order. Like that's what people who are about to commit suicide do. They sell off all their belongings. They clean their sometimes they clean, make sure their house is really clean, and then they do the deed, right? I thought it was creepy. I thought it was creepy when it said he got his house in order and then he hung himself. So Absalom and David are in a battle, okay, and basically there's lots of fighting. Joab, something happens, and I'm gonna get a picture for that. Hold on. What happens is, here's the picture. Absalom, he's riding his horse and he gets stuck in a tree. That's what it says. Like his hair got stuck in a tree and he's hanging there. Okay, he's hanging there in the tree, and one of Joab's soldiers, he's like, "Hey man, I found Absalom. I found him, and he's hanging in this tree." And so obviously they go and shoot him with darts and arrows. Okay, they kill him. So Absalom dies. Okay, but ooh, where'd it go? Okay, there we go. So Absalom's dead, and then there's these paragraphs of how heartbroken David is. Okay, he's so heartbroken, and he's like, Absalom, oh, Absalom, my son, no, you know what I mean? And why was David, well, obviously David was heartbroken because of his son, but he was heartbroken because they never settled their feud, right? And obviously it turned into something ugly. This is all about doing that with your family and with your friends or with anyone. But, like, you guys need to stop. You guys need to settle your petty feuds, because it just turns into something really bad, right? It's petty stuff. I mean, not that killing his son was petty, but you know what I mean? Like, so when it talks about how sad he's sad. Now he's paying attention to Absalom, right? Now it's all about regret. He's regretted that he never he ignored him for 2 years, right? You guys can't do that stuff. You can't go into a family feud for 2 years and just ignore each other. That happens all the time. And when that person dies, it's too late. You never have that chance again, right? Never. All right, so that's why David is so heartbroken, because he never reconciled with his son, and he had a chance to. He had 2 years to do it, but he kept ignoring him, right? Not that Absalom was a great guy or anything, but, like, you know what I mean? David could have done something else, but now look what happened. Now they're both miserable. Absalom's dead and David's miserable. So that's the point of that. Let's see. Here's some archaeological evidence. This is Absalom's tomb. It's still there. Okay, you can visit it. They discovered it I'm not sure when they discovered it, actually. They discovered it 1,000 years after Absalom. Or maybe. Something like that. They believe this is where he was buried, anyway. This is Absalom's tomb. They believe it's to be Absalom's tomb. So it talks about how he made a pillar for himself, and this is it. Okay, this is a pillar he's buried in. Tomb of Absalom. Okay, yeah. So here's some evidence. Here's his tomb. He made his own tomb because he couldn't have kids. Okay, he didn't have kids. Or he must have been shooting blanks or something, right? And maybe that's why he was the way he was. Right? He's making up for something. I don't know. But he couldn't have kids, or he didn't have kids. There was no condoms back then. But there was some reason why he wasn't having kids. But anyway, so he said that he built this for him when Absalom already had this built for himself when he died. It was his monument to himself because he didn't have any kids. So there's some evidence of that. Hold on. So David goes back to Jerusalem, and after he's really heartbroken, he goes back. Of course, he forgives everybody. God doesn't, though. God gets mad. He punishes them. He punishes the Israelites that didn't believe in that didn't believe in David, and they chose Absalom. Right? God got mad at them, and he punished them. That's a meaning right there. Okay, if you're gonna choose devil, if you're gonna choose Satan over David, which is Jesus, okay, so he's the pre-Jesus anyway, he's gonna punish you. Anyway, I want to talk. So all throughout the book of Samuel, they're talking about all these fights with these groups of people. There's especially in Samuel 2, there's the sons of Amnon. Who are the sons of Amnon? Who are the Syrians? Who are there's this and then Moses even gets into a fight with his Shimmy Eye Guy. The Shimmy Eye Guy, first of all, he was on Saul's team. Remember, like, there were some. I want you to see how many enemies Moses has at this point. There's Philistines, there's the children of Ammon, there's all kinds of enemies, okay? Why? But in this book it talks about Ammon. I looked at Ammon. Of course, their main god was Moloch. Why did God try to get rid of them? Why was the Israelites always fighting with them? Because why did God want to make war with these guys? Just like the Canaanites, the same thing. It's the same demon. Okay, it's the same demon. The Persians worship the same demon. This guy's a big demon, you guys. There's Baal, right? I'll get into that later. There's the demon known as Baal, Baal. I'm naming these demons because when the Bible gives you names of these demons, I try to focus on them. God wants you to know who these guys are. He's not just naming a bunch of random demons. There's like 5 really big ones in the Bible. These guys are serious. These are like the head demonic entities. Okay, there's Baal. There's obviously Satan, and there's Moloch. Okay, Moloch is a big one. They keep talking about Moloch. The Ammonites were in the book of Samuel. The sons of Ammon were Moloch worshippers. They were sacrificing their infants to this demonic entity. Okay, they were evil. Okay, just like we are now. Abortion is the same thing, you guys. When you have an abortion, it's the same ritual. Do you think it's a coincidence that the mother had to use her own free will? The rules are the mother has to use her free will to give her infant away, and they're cut into pieces and burned. That's exactly what happens when you get an abortion. They cut the infant into pieces, and then they go in the back and burn it. It's the same ritual. You guys were falling for the same rituals. They've been around. It's same demon, same rituals. So, just like the Canaanites, and then the Philistines, and then the Persians, and the sons of Ammon, all same demon. So, that's who the Ammonites were. They were, and then there was this Sheba Oof. I don't like saying that name. No, it's not Sheba, the yoga demon, but I don't like that saying that name out loud. There's this Sheba. So, this lady. So this is not her. Okay. So, they went to the city where they're chasing Sheba, who was this evil guy. Sheba is the guy. Okay. Joab said, this lady yelled that they were chasing this Sheba guy, this really evil Sheba guy, man. And he ran into the city, and they're going to storm the whole city. They're going to kill everybody in the city just to get this one guy. And this smart lady, quote unquote smart lady, I guess, she was like, you know what? We'll kill him for you. If we throw his head over the wall, will you leave us alone? And they did. Okay. So Joab, the lady convinced the people to go get this guy and cut off his head and throw his head over the wall to prove that they killed him. And they did. And so Joab left. He left them alone. And so I wanted to bring that in there. And there's this big battle. I'm going to talk about this in a second. There's also this battle with these Philistines, right? They're giants, you guys. I'm going to get into another video about these giants. Some of them even had 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand, right? Weird. This is a remnant of the Nephilim, okay? I'm going to get into that again in a different video. But they were evil. They are remnants of the Nephilim. They were mutated from that time of Noah, right? Okay? That's why they were giants, and that's why they had a different number of... God made sure why in the Bible did he make sure to write they had 6 fingers? They're mutated. They're mutants from the time of Noah, right? That demonic, DNA, that rotten DNA that some of us have, more than others. We all have it, but that's where these giants came from, okay? I make a different video about the giants, but I wanted to show you there's all these enemies now. He's not only is he fighting all these people, he's fighting his own people. Okay, he's fighting Saul's old people. He's probably gonna have to fight Abner, his son's old people. Like, do you understand how many? There's just more and more enemies. There's more of them and less of him, and that's how it is now, you guys. Like, this is what I wanted to see. So this is the time of then. There's Jerusalem right here's. Look, all of these people around are all their enemies. They are literally surrounded by all their enemies. And it's still like that today when it comes to Jesus, okay? There's people who believe in Jesus, and they're literally surrounded by all these enemies. And it's a very metaphorical, right? Like, you're going to be surrounded by enemies until you die. There's no getting rid of the devil, okay? You can't even turn around without seeing demonic stuff and people who worship the devil, even if they don't realize it, right? You're going to be surrounded by the enemy all the time. But again, God uses Jerusalem as a metaphor. You're going to be surrounded by your enemy. Maybe I'll try to look at the current map. That's why God always uses Jerusalem as a metaphor. He's the stronghold. He's the stronghold against all of your enemies, okay? Yeah, that's why he always uses Jerusalem as a metaphor for his strength and his power, okay? There's this one little town here, and they're all surrounded by the enemies. There's Ammon, there's Moab, there's the Philistines, okay? They're just getting more and more surrounded as time goes by. It gets even worse. More and more surrounded by the enemy. They're always closing in on them. Even today, you can see this in the map, okay? It's very metaphorical, and that's why in Revelations it says the New Jerusalem. I'm going to build you a New Jerusalem. It's symbolic of the stronghold against your enemy, Satan. Okay, that's why. But it's real, though. It's real and it's symbolic. The Bible is both. Okay. So it's also a metaphor with this. Okay, so if you're reading 2 Samuel, especially towards the end of the book, it's talking about how David and his mighty men are like kicking butt, right? They're going around, they're slaying Philistines, they're slaying giants. They are super strong, and they're defeating the enemy, literally, okay? Like that map. They're fighting off all the enemy that's surrounding them constantly. All right? They're fighting them off. And so, in the Revelations, it talks about these mighty men of David, right? And David is who? He's a representative of pre-Jesus, okay? He's not at all close to Jesus, but I'm trying to say that's how he's represented in the Bible, okay? He's the unperfect Jesus. He's the precursor to Jesus, okay? So, he's Jesus' great-great-grandfather, but so when it talks about David and his mighty men fighting off the Philistines and the giants and the children of Ammon and stuff, the guy he's trying to paint a picture here, okay, for the whole Bible, and they're beating them. And if you read Revelations, it talks about them. They use the same wording, the mighty men of God, right? The mighty men of God, and this is supposed to be Jesus, right? He's the main king of our kingdom, right? So when it talks about in Samuel these mighty men fighting off the enemy, later in Revelation it talks about the mighty men of God, and they stand behind Jesus. This is an actual war is going on, and this is the spiritual war going on. Okay, actual wars that really did happen are a metaphor for what is going to happen, right? David represents Jesus. His mighty men represent all these saints and angels that are going to be there, okay, at the end of time. Really, okay? This is real warfare. This is spiritual warfare. You guys get what I mean? It's the same wording. That's what God is trying to point out, okay? Jesus is our king, and there's going to be a major warfare at the end times, okay? There's not going to be a physical battle. Like, Jesus isn't going to come down with a sword and start slaying, like, bad people or something, okay? It's way worse than that. Spiritual warfare is way more serious, guys. Trust me. You wish Satan just gave you a fat lip. No. It's way worse than that. The spiritual warfare is the one that's really important. It's the one that really matters. So that's the connection here, okay? So the book of David ends with David, he writes a song, he comes out with another song, okay? And he's thanking God, and he kind of gets in trouble again because because he looks. Of course, he goes back to his balcony and looks out the balcony. He doesn't sleep with women anymore. You can see that he doesn't do that anymore. But he decides to take a census. But he's really taking a census to make himself feel better, like his ego. It's like an ego trip, right? And God gets mad at him a little bit, but he makes up for it. He makes up for it by buying a good solid earth ground for the Ark of the Covenant. So that's how the book ends. But I really wanted to point out this connection with David and Jesus, and the real battle going on. This is the big picture going on, guys. Okay, what is the point? What is the point of this? What's the point of this story? What is God trying to tell you? What's the message to you sitting and watching this video? Okay, because he's talking to you right now. What's the point? What does this have to do with you? Nothing. No, it does. Okay, are you gonna be the one of the few that follows Moses out of Satan, basically, right? Are you gonna be one of these few? Are you going to be one of these few men that follow Jesus into the end, is the point? Or are you going to be like everyone else? Are you going to be like everyone else and just follow what looks good at the time, right? What feels good at the time. Absalom looked cool and he was the cool guy, right? So everybody wanted to follow, everyone immediately wanted to follow him. They didn't want to follow David anymore. He wasn't cool anymore, right? Are you going to be one of his few true followers of Jesus? David represents Jesus, right? Are you going to be one of these guys, one of his saints that are going to fight with him? So this is a spiritual battle, okay? You're not going to have to go learn karate, okay? Are you going to be one of these men that stands and fights with Jesus? Are you going to be one of these men that stands behind and fights with David? Or are you going to fall into line with what everyone else is doing and go get a plague? No joke. And that's the least of your problems after that, okay? Because God cursed the rest of those Israelites for a while. He gave them a plague. The ones that didn't follow Moses. Right? Hint to everyone. Please be one of these guys and not an Absalom follower. Don't be an Absalom follower. Okay? You're only going to get a plague. And not to mention, if you're going to be a Satan follower, you're just going to get the plague of hell. Okay? But that's the point. Alright. So please think about this stuff. I'm going to do a video next probably about the Amalekites soon. Okay. All right. Thank you.